thanks for coming out this evening for the 545 Avalon Road public meeting. This is the recommended concept public meeting. This evening we'll... Oh, you're going to use it like... just want to welcome Commissioner, as she's here this afternoon, and Commissioner would like to welcome everybody.
Yeah, thank you. I'm in the back in the dark, but I don't mind that because it kind of feels good on my eyeballs. Thank you for being here. If you, after this, have continued concerns or things that are not related but are District 1 related, please reach out to my office, district1@ocfl.net. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you go to nicole.wilson,
NicoleWilson.org.
NicoleWilson.org. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thanks. Is there anybody else, any other elected officials or anybody? We have a couple staff members here. We have Blanche, so now Transportation Planning, Orange County. We have Brian Sanders, Transportation Planning. We have Greg Smith with JMT, and Greg Smith. We have Letitia and Courtney and Carol is on the microphone. So we're gonna. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Now we can turn the lights down. There we go.
So the presentation is going to be done in its entirety. We're going to go through the whole presentation, and then we take question and answers after. If you have questions, we have comment forms that you can fill out, and then we take your comments and your questions as in the order that they were given. So, yes, sir. We're going to the overview. We're going to go to identify. You're going to go to the purpose of the study. I'm sorry. The purpose of the study is to identify the preferred improvements, and as we can see, that it could consider all modes of transportation: safety, mobility, comfort, and creativity of the public. And we do automobiles, pedestrians, cyclists, and transit. The process of the development, to get to the preferred development, we go through the data collection phase, along with analyzing the conditions, and then we develop an alignment, and then we have a public engagement, which we had one on the November 3rd. Some of you guys were here for the November 3rd meeting. We took your inputs and we put it into the preferred, and we go. This is our second public meeting where we'll take some more input, and then we go to the board in March. So we're going to go through the existing conditions, and some of the existing conditions. So the study begins at US 192, and it ends at Hartzog Road, which is approximately 1.6 miles. So it's going to be presently it's a two-lane rural section where there's no curb and gutter, no sidewalks. Sidewalks are down at the southern end of the project. The corridor is largely undeveloped, although there's a lot of development moving fast along this corridor. So, going to geometry and characteristics. As I said earlier, there's a two-lane roadway with flush pavements, with flush unpaved shoulders. Sidewalks are intermittent, and there's no existing stormwater ponds along the roadway, which with this improvement we'll have stormwater ponds to serve the roadway. The current land uses, as you see here, they're mostly residential, and some houses and apartments. And they have places like the Palisades, and then the future land uses are anticipated to be mostly residential and some commercial along the way. The drainage, this is located in the South Florida Water Management District. The drainage currently flows freely across the roadway, the existing corridor. The roadway runoff is currently collected on the roadside and is treated, and it just goes into the swales. Next, we have existing environmental assessment. An environmental assessment was conducted to identify potential wetlands and corridor. We have some protected species, wildlife species. It include, as you can see, there's a list there. Gopher tortoises and stuff. A full wildlife protection survey will be done during design. So. Next, we have traffic. We took traffic counts for them. At present, the traffic daily, the volume range from 1,500 to 1,600 currently. And currently the roadway is operating at a level service of F, which means that it's failing. And the more things will get worse if this road doesn't improve. This is just a continuation of this first slide we have, which just shows the amount of traffic during the design year, the mid-year, and so this is a continuation of the first slide. Right here we have during a 5-year period, we did there was a total of 149 crashes along the roadway. 34 were resulted in injuries, and there were also 40 crashes that happened at night, which indicates the potential need for roadway lighting, so you could have it at night. Right here we have the context classification. It's an FDOT context classification, which shows it's a C3R residential, which is shown in the box up there. This designation consists of planned land uses, vehicle operation speed along the corridor. This designation is allowed the 40 to 45 miles per hour speed and a medium density population. Here are the strategies that are used to achieve the C3R. We indicated in the study at present. During the study, we studied the curbs and gutters, and horizontal deflections. During design, we do it to a more medium island crossing and just look at and then in the future, when the road is built, the post-construction, we go through by pedestrians and whether or not we need the mid-block crossing or some speed signs or RFBs, which is for people to cross the street. If we move on to the recommended improvements, which we are all for here today. Intersection control evaluation. This is an FDOT, Federal Highway Administration program, and basically it says that there's a complete streets program, and it's very data driven. We do it's a performance based, and what intersections and what will work best. So this is usually done by a registered PE, and the purpose of this is to consider multiple context-sensitive control strategies when we're planning the intersections and modifications. Access management, as we know, is carefully planned for location types and design, including medians and medium openings. Controlling access as a result of the point. So see, before access management, we had many conflicts along the way, and then after access management, it reduces the conflicts. Couple illustrations of access management. There's Valley Drive down at the corner of 192. We actually, to improve the intersection, we cut off the left turn lane, the left turn into Valley Drive, which is at present caused some conflict. We increased the southbound 2 left lanes onto 192 and 2 right lanes onto 192, and the 2 is going straight. Another intersection we have is up at Grove Blossom, which is going to be a full median opening, and there's actually a traffic light going to be there So, which is going to be built by the development. Actually, I should mention on Valley Drive, in order, if you go in Norton 545, you can go up to Arrowhead and make a U-turn and come back down to Valley Drive. We have been in a close contact with the hospital to rectify that situation. Right where we have the typical section, as we saw outside, it's 12-foot lanes, 22-foot median, which is consistent with the rest of the 545, the village eye above. It's just a continuation of the typical section. There's the design speed is 45 miles per hour. The 45 miles is going to be up until like Arrowhead or Grove Blossom, and then due to the curves and stuff, to slow down traffic, we're going to drop it to 40 miles per hour, so you can get through that intersection safely and that roadway safely. The recommended pond sites. We have 3 pond sites that we did extensive study on the pond sites, and we had a lot of moving around. And these were the best ones that we came up with that will work for this project. And there's 3 pond sites and a compensation pond up at the north end of the project. Here is the matrix for the project. As you can see, we had 3 alternatives. We had 4. We had the no-build alternative, where you just do nothing and then the road will just fail miserably. But then we had an east alternative and a west alternative, and we picked the recommended alternative, which is basically down the middle, utilizing the existing right-of-way. So so this is the one that was best for us, according to the study. Now we're down to public engagement, which we are here tonight. It's a very important part. We had the first community meeting, as I mentioned earlier, on the November 3rd. And then we have this one to help formulate the best solutions. We used a number of communications. We had the newsletters, we had project website. We worked closely with the commissioner's office, and they got the word out for the public to come out to these meetings. And we'll be going to the LPA and the BCC in April and February and March. So look out, newsletters will be going out for those hearings. The next is the schedule. Right now we're in May, and we have in this second public meeting the LPA is going to be on February 20, the work session. We have 2 sessions. We have a work session and a hearing. The work session is going to be on May and February 21st or 16th, February 16th, and then the BCC will be in March 21st, and the LPA hearing will be March 16th. Here we have a tentative an estimated construction schedule, which, as you can see right now, we're going through the RCA, which will be going to the BCC in March, and then there is funding for design, and so that should be finished. There's a 2-year process to design and then there's a right-of-way, which should finish in 28, and then construction should start 28 to 30. I should say between design and right-of-way, halfway through design, they start doing right-of-way acquisition. So this could, as I say, this is tentative, so it could move up. We have time for questions. Doesn't work on this side?
I guess because she did it.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that. Should have said close your eyes before we turn on the light. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Or just comments? I know there were some comments and questions earlier. If with regards to these gentlemen with there are like cable and water and sewer and that type of thing. I take the information, so we're going to go. I'll talk to utilities and see what's going on with that out there.
It doesn't seem that that's relevant at this point.
No, well, yeah, well, we
We'd obviously like it to be.
yeah,
now
I know you like to meet
considered.
tomorrow, yeah. But I will contact our utilities and see, if there's what I know water and sewer is provided out there up to the places that are being built, but I don't know if they're going beyond that. And I know it's Toho Utilities out there. It's not Orange County Utilities, so I don't know if Orange County Utilities have plans to come down or what. But we'll check that out.
Well, it's coming all around us,
Right.
and it's coming in from the east of us, and nobody has any reasons to connect
To
the
connect
two.
the two. So these gentlemen, Commissioner, just your information,
And
they live between Hartzog and Grove Blossom. So they're like on the east side, in between. If you could,
So in terms of utilities, water, sewer, reuse, the county has franchise areas inside the county that other companies come in and serve. So regardless of where you're at in the county, you were designated to some utility, be it franchise area like Toho or inside Orange County itself in their franchise area. So I would encourage you to contact utilities and say, hey, what's the process of extending? Here's where we live. Is there a plan? Are you on well and septic now?
Yep.
Some areas may stay on that. I know, extreme northwest where I live, there's franchise. There's a lot of people on well and septic, and everybody's waiting for development to come. But I hear what you're saying. You're sort of like an enclave, kind of
Here it comes.
right over there, but I can't get to it.
Here it comes, right by our front door, and that's our question. You're gonna be doing this development out in front of our house. Where's the water going? Are we gonna get hooked up to it? Da-da-da.
Gotcha.
All right, will you contact my office and we'll help connect you with our utilities department?
That'd be great.
I wouldn't be able to know without those experts, but I know that it's it's close.
Yeah,
And actually, I'll leave some cards over here.
right, I mean, obviously, when they dig up the road, they're gonna be putting in water and sewer and.
That's the opportunity that Orange County Utilities has, and Toho, all the franchise people that are in there. The utility coordination that happens during the design, that's their cue to say, okay, are we going to oversize? Are we going to extend? The boundaries, that's a little harder to, go, maneuver around, but utilities have those maps, and they'll clearly show you where you fit into that, whether it's Toho or Orange County.
Right.
And then the additional questions can come.
I guess you'll have better information for our questions when it comes down to acquisitions. At that point,
Well, in the meantime, if you'll reach out, we'll connect you with utilities
Yeah.
folks, and hopefully they can at least kind of give you the process. I wouldn't speak out of turn on what their process is once the acquisitions or.
Water service and then right-of-way acquisitions are two different things, two very different things. That's something that we're talking about tonight, which will come with this project. And there's a process for that. During design, they look at trying to minimize the right-of-way impacts. At this stage, we don't have the vertical survey information, we have the horizontal. So when the road comes in, they get the design and they're looking at the groundwater, the pavement has to be a certain height above all of that, which has an effect on how much right-of-way. Here, it's a pretty good estimate, but that can change, and they tried to minimize that, during the process.
based on
About 60% through the design, they have a really good idea of the right-of-way impacts, and that's when they go out and they're looking for early acquisitions. If the funding is all there, they focus on stormwater ponds because that really controls what's going on. And then the strip takes, that takes a little bit longer. There's usually more of those. So through that process, you will be contacted, and at the time, we can hook you up with our real estate management and our right-of-way folks, and they have a whole spiel like we do for the road itself.
Any questions?
I'm gonna ask. Protected bike lane? Come on.
We have a multi-purpose pad.
But what if I want to go really fast on my bike?
There'll be drone taxis by then.
I know.
This was
a setup. This was a setup. I think it's important though that we continue to pursue it, because this area for the folks that do road biking. That's road biking. They don't want to be on a sidewalk or a multi. And don't get me wrong. I love the trail. I love the idea. But I do think there's opportunities all over that we can build in.
I know he's been in contact with traffic folks upstairs. He's been talking to Hector.
Well,
and so,
it's quite silent from Hector's side.
So
we have your comments. I would take it up there tomorrow for
Circuit
to do it again.
30 years.
That's right. That's exactly right. And they don't want to be. And listen, if you get hit by one of those, you're going to wish they had their unprotected bike lane, because they're flying. They are road cyclists, and this is a very active area for that and for those types of training.
Well,
Take a little piece of every side and create a bike lane.
and also take into account, if we're just providing a singular place for bicycles to be, there's going to be cyclists of all ages and all abilities.
That's fine,
So
but
there may-
it's still a place for specifically that, as opposed to, the multi-use path. There's just, where I
We completely understand.
You're like, I
Some
know.
of the other aspects of protected bike lanes is the ability to pick up trash, the ability to deliver mail. That happens curbside. And so now we're talking about
Well, no, they do them all over the world where you can pop into places for any of those types of services. So I understand there's
That's where-
considerations and design, but I do think in areas that we're looking at freshly with some knowledge that, specifically in this area where we do have people that come internationally from all over, that, we have people that have utilized it for those types of road cycling for a long time, that to have that foresight now may allow us some opportunity.
we hear you. We still believe
Keep plugging it. No.
that the multipurpose paths are safer overall.
I'm not saying to give up the multi-purpose path.
They didn't collect our trash this week, so that's an
So we
issue.
don't have to worry about it.
It's still out there.
We need to have a utilities meeting out here.
We have our consultant here, and we have also the
Yeah, I know. I had
I'm
to.
going
I have
on
my friend here that I met earlier, actually today.
Today, yes.
And we were talking about some of the design internationally that would be, I think, really
Did you write that?
embraced here.
I came in late, so
okay.
do I need to write it down?
No, we'll take notes, but you can write it down if you
Oh, I
want
prefer not writing.
to. Okay, that's fine.
So, last time we met, we were waiting on the 1 cent tax that failed. You did point out that we're funded up to the design. And also, it seems like construction was going to start in 2028, but now I see it's, maybe you didn't have it on the PowerPoint last time, it's 2028 and 20, anywhere between 2020 and 2030.
Yeah.
So,
We did some additional calculations and figured that it took 2 years for design, another year and a half, 2 years for right-of-way acquisition, and 2 years for construction.
okay, so considering the right-of-way process and the design sort of overlaps that, and I know sometimes right-of-way can take longer than expected, and then sometimes it can be a whole lot shorter. What's the chance of that start of construction staying at 2028 and not being anything sooner.
I think once we have funding and right of way construction, say right of way acquisition goes faster than, during the time, say between 60 and 90 or 60 and 100, right of way finish same time, and we have the funds available. I think we go ahead and do it. I'm not in the construction engineering, but
That's the right-of-way phase is the only phase that really has a compression factor available to it. But we're not going to say it's going to be anything less than 2 years.
Yeah, they said it was tentative.
And then, recessions have happened, and I've said things and had dates up there, pandemics, recessions, so on and so forth. So this isn't a developer-financed project.
Right.
Horizon West has been really, really good. It's been really dependable on funding through recessions and pandemics. It hasn't really slowed down. So those projects have been churning away. Other projects, CIP projects, that we don't pipeline the impact fees, and a lot of the impact fees in this area are gobbled up by these big developments. So there's not a lot of loose impact fees building up for these types of funded roadways. So it's a little less predictable. So we really don't feel comfortable saying it's anything sooner than what we've shown.
Right.
But 6 to 8 years, that's typical. When things go right.
On F road.
Okay. We're hoping all of these east-west connectors.
That's why I have gray hair.
Yeah. I actually have my ID from 1990.
Wow. You look exactly the same.
No, I don't. So,
in terms of the connector roads, what are we looking like on the timelines? And I think last time some of the citizens' concerns were that they were going to flood into, that traffic was going to flood towards our way on down, because now they have easier access north of the road and they were going to make their way down.
You're talking about flooding of traffic, not flooding of water.
Well, we do that anyway, but still.
Yeah, those east-west roads are going to carry quite a bit of traffic. And being new roads, we have models that predict, and one of the biggest variables are new roads, because the model wants to just throw everything through them, so they have to be throttled. All right, so that's subjective. It's a professional subjective manipulation. So that's the best that we have until it comes.
So, and I'm sorry, let me just, because I'm trying to get a kind of mental picture of what your concern is, that because the Fleming's going through, and
Fleming's I think will be last, if I'm not mistaken.
So we got New Independence.
We have New Independence, Schofield, and then I think Fleming's is last on that connection.
And
in terms of timeline,
2025.
429 as well.
2025 is the agreement that they're supposed to start.
Right. The latest thing I've heard was starting construction, maybe
in 2025.
23.
That one will definitely help out, though. If that connection came, that would help, because a lot of the traffic
is the big southern.
Exactly.
I think so too, and I think, we've talked about this. I would like to see anybody who isn't, residential to that area sort of, for their longer trips or freight, getting to the 429, because that's what it's there for, right? If you think about trying to provide those links to 429 to Lake, but yeah, it's just making sure that we're.
Each one of these roads are different. They're all on different time schedules, timelines. Each one of them has a different dynamic for construction. New Independence has some maintenance of traffic, not as much as Fleming. So all that has an effect. And we're going as fast as we can.
But I agree with you. It's
Yeah.
The question I've got, from what I understand, is that when Western Way goes through the Flemings and over to Highway 27, it's coming out of Sawgrass Bay.
Yeah.
That's 2.5 miles farther north on Highway 27. Our issue is the traffic that's coming south on Avalon Road. Most of that traffic is trying to go out to 27 and south, or south on Western Way to West Side Boulevard.
They'll probably continue to go that way.
So those westbound routes aren't going to do us a lick of good.
Well, it's going to do
Because
some good.
the other
right? There's
road
gonna be
that's-
diversion.
The other road that's coming from Hartzog is going to be dumping into neighborhoods. That's not going to be a straight through, so that's going to be 25 mile an hour and stop signs and stuff, so that's not going to be an attractive route. So the people who are trying to get to Highway 27 to go southbound
Yeah.
are not going to take either of those westbound
You're
roads.
right, you're right. So, I mean, it's not a plan to divert all of the traffic. It's
There's
a portion of the
There's
traffic.
no
I
other
don't
access
believe
right
our
now.
30,000 cars, diverting 6 of them is going to help much.
It's going to help. It, I mean, we could use more east-west roads. I would agree with you. There's some natural blockades out there.
There's a lot of swamp. I am a commercial pilot. I have lived on Lake Gifford for 27 years. I've been flying in the Disney area in hot air balloons, close up and personal. I've watched all of this development since 1995. I have thousands of flights in the area. I've seen every bit of development for the last 30 years. So I have a very unique perspective on exactly what's going on in this area and where the traffic flow is. I've watched it all come to life, and not just driving down the street and seeing something built along the street. I've seen the entire area from the sky.
Gotcha.
So, you know,
There was a unique situation. I don't think it will be unique coming, but following the first meeting, we had a total gridlock from where backed up all the way to Fleming's, and then Fleming's over to 429. And even the 429 was gridlocked back to exit 6 that brought you to the
Mr.
192.
Smart Man here decided he'd leave his house to see how far bad it was backed up. It took him an hour and a half to get back home.
Well, I went right instead of turning left because I needed to go somewhere, and then coming back, the traffic was bumper to bumper up to Fleming, so I was like, well, I'm going to go left and go around. But it was bumper to bumper, Fleming's, 429, 192, the full circle.
Yeah, the way roads are funded and the way development is permitted, roads and infrastructure always lag. When we're doing impact fees, you got to build up so much impact fees, and then you have enough money to do the infrastructure. It's just a lag model.
I say everybody switch jobs.
Switch jobs.
Yep, everybody in permitting go into roads, everybody in roads go into permitting. Slow down one, speed up the other.
We don't want the permitting guys in roads, I promise. No offense, permitting guys.
But, yeah, and being the fastest growing area here in Orange County and arguably across the country, and this is the edge of the earth, okay, for infrastructure and just about everything. You guys don't even have a gas station out here, right? So
That would remind me of that.
I know, I'm sorry.
We got Walmart where some of the pumps work at sometimes and sometimes they don't.
I can just imagine those lines. So help is on the way. We're trying to process this as fast as we can. The sales tax could have helped in many ways. We're working with the Commissioner's office to fix and patch areas while the infrastructure is still in production to try to help mitigate some of these pains, but it's going to be painful. You've lived through construction of developments and roadways, the rough roads. I can just
for us to live another 6 years with.
Yeah. I wish I had the wand, but I don't.
It's unfortunate though, because we were involved a long time back when the Palisades was built. And we were wondering how in the world that they could build that big monstrosity right up at the edge of the road out of nowhere, right across the street from our houses. And that was when we found out that the Roads Commission already had a plan for widening Avalon, and that we were going to be losing 30 to 40 feet of our front yards. And we started it
originally.
and found out that those plans have been on the books for 20 years.
Yeah,
And that was when we found out about all of the villages and that we were part of Village I and everything else. Well, golly, if we've known about this for 20 years,
it's not a if you build it, they will come model.
I understand.
It's just not that way. The county has not enough funding to build all this ahead of time, maintain it for a low volume of traffic for many, many years, waiting on development to come. That's just not the way it works.
Well, how did we get to 429? And I don't mean that in a nasty way. How did we get to 429? Did the toll people pay for that?
The 429, yeah, they put out bonds and they built it.
Okay, because
We don't.
I remember the 429, open it up, and you drive down the whole 429 past 6 cars.
Yeah, the Expressway Authority is a subset of the state DOT.
But boy, oh boy, it's smart that they did
The
that.
Expressway Authority?
And, we arguably, we could have
I
said,
know it's
why didn't you widen
is
it before now?
causing
They're
additional
right in the middle of
revenues on it.
widening,
There's
and I
more
take that all the time.
From the governor.
Yeah,
And it's always
Up
been.
there.
I mean, as far as like from Orange County and
Yeah,
Well,
most
I come from
activities in
Apopka
County.
down, so
Sure.
I understand.
I'm very familiar.
anyways,
I think they want to make sure it's
it's
not
not a
Orange
building,
County.
and
So
they will come model, it's the other way.
All right.
Yes. Oh, okay. I saw you.
Oh, we talked a lot out
I'm a new
there.
resident, I came from New York, I'm learning the new roads. Nothing to complain yet.
Thank you for being here.
If you don't complain, that makes us all look bad. Something that you don't know
She'll
about.
think of something. I'm here.
If she's not complaining, she can't really be from New York.
I'm sorry, I missed the presentation. When is this going to start?
We've started the process of developing the project. The first step is a study phase, and we're coming to the end of that. Design is funded, we know that much, so that's another 2-year process. We don't have the vertical information needed for design. Our designers want us to design it for them, but we won't. And so after that, then we go into a right-of-way acquisition phase, a couple of years there, and then construction takes about 2 years. In an ideal, I mean, if all the money was there, and no recessions, no strange things happen, it could happen. That's very optimistic.